you want to be a wrestler, where do you start?
So you find a wrestling school.
Okay.
And so at the time I was going to these wrestling shows. Like once a month they would do shows near my house. My mom calls me and she goes, Austin, there's wrestlers at Walmart. I was like, what? So I like kicked up out of the bed and I was at my buddy's house and we jumped in the car, drove over there, and there's these two guys sitting there and they're like, yeah, we have this thing called US Play. It's like a Dave and Buster's-y type place.
Okay.
Like, yeah, we're having a show at the US Play across the street and they're going to be a hardcore match. So bring whatever weapons you want. And it was like, oh. And so I didn't know about independent wrestling at that point in my life. I just knew WWE and WWF and ECW. I didn't know that there was like any other, like I had no clue how to get into it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to these shows. The first time we go, and they said bring a weapon. All we had in the trunk, we had a baseball bat for some reason, wooden baseball bat. And so yeah,
Like
of course, yeah.
Like you
And
do.
so we brought that in and we gave throw it to them during the match, and afterwards stayed afterwards, and all the guys signed it for me and everything, and go to these every single month. And I was in band, and so we had some concert or something, and so I showed up to the show late. So I pulled up on like speed there. I pulled in the parking spot. I'm in my like tuxedo with like my cummerbund and bow tie and stuff. And I like bust into the room, and it's just in time for like the main event. And like the heel, the bad guy, like looks and he like goes like this because he sees in my hand I've got the bat. And this is like, it's like a weird movie situation. I like got close enough and like threw the bat like a javelin, and he caught it and started beating up the good guy with it. And the announcers were screaming like, "Oh no, the Batman's here!" And everyone's just booing him and me, and I'm just like, "Yes!" In this cummerbund and bow tie, 16 years old, like yeah. And so
Wait, so you were in the show?
no,
you were just
I was just a
fan?
fan, but like I was there every month, and I'd always bring this bat.
Okay.
And so like they would always use it, and so like he knew like, oh, this kid will probably play around.
Yeah.
So like I toss him the bat, and he's like, just beating him with it.
In
And
my
it's
mind,
funny.
it's like a perfect spiral.
Oh,
on
yeah.
that bat, just like a perfect javelin
Oh,
spiral.
100% was definitely 100%. And so after that show, the guy who was in charge of the organization came out to me and he was like, "You seem like you want to do this." And I was like, "I very much want to do this, sir. Please, please." And he goes, "Well, I'm starting a school in the next few months. Here's my information. If you want to try it out, give me a call." And so, long story short, go up there, we train, and he is his name's Rob Adonis. One of the nicest humans I've ever met. He's my wrestling dad. And so he taught me how to talk to wrestling promoters, how to get booked on shows. He taught me always have your wrestling notebook with you. So any idea that you have, you will forget it if you don't write it down.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a book that I started in, I'm horrible with time and years. So whatever year I started training.
16, so.
Yeah. So I have that book still. It's in my wrestling bag, and I write in it fully. Like I wrote in it all the way through, and now it's flipped upside down. I'm writing in it backwards. But it's got like every wrestling idea I've ever had, any idea for like moves, for gear. Like my first set of gear is drawn out in there, and so I can go back and see that stuff. But you just learn how to you learn how to not die doing wrestling, and learn how to like not break people apart, and then you kind of go out into the wrestling world. And he always taught me like when you go to a show, go to it for the first time without talking to anybody, without talking to the promoter, without talking to any other wrestlers. Just go and watch it and just see what the show's like and see what you would want to do, see where you might fit in the show, see who you might want to wrestle in the show. Afterwards, go in the back, talk to the promoter and say, "Hey, you know what? I wrestle. I'm from blah, 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 blah. I train with this guy, that guy," and see if they'll let you be on the show the next week. And so that's what I did. Like I said, when I would leave school, I would find a show on the internet. I'd look something up. And at that point, we had no GPS. We just had like MapQuest. So I'd print out the MapQuest directions,
Of course.
drive to wherever I was going. And I'd be by myself, just sitting in the corner, watching wrestling shows at like 17 years old. Like, "Oh, that guy looks good. I want to wrestle him. Oh man, I want to talk to that guy." And then I just go talk to everybody and just try to learn everything I could. And so, so I was wrestling in North Georgia and South Carolina. And so what happens is you find your places that you're wrestling, and you try to become like known there. And then you go one town over, you become known there. Then you go one more town over, and you become known there. And you're trying to just expand your name and your reach until finally, okay, you feel like you've done enough stuff where you start sending your stuff to like places in New York, places in Wyoming, places in California. Or you want to go to Mexico, send something down there, a resume, CDs with your matches on it, something. And it's legit just like any other job. You send out a resume, and then hopefully you just get to keep bouncing around, and people know you in enough places, and then you create enough buzz, and then a larger company goes, "Hey, we want you to work for us." And so I was lucky enough to get that to happen.
Wow.
Wow. So it's a little bit like mean, I guess there's a little bit of that in music. There's a little bit
Yep.
of that in martial arts.
hmm
Just this, yeah, this, I guess the grassrootsness of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's nice. I think maybe that insulates a little bit of the creativity too from like being prey, corporate prey.
Yeah.
You can come up, you can develop relationships with people in the sport on your own.
Yeah.
Naturally, you can come up with personas naturally.
hmm
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's like you said. So it's the fully created by you. You're the talent. You are the marketer. You are the social media director. You are the PR agent. Like you're everything for yourself at that point. And then
Yeah.
hopefully you get to a point where you are part of like a larger business and you can kind of like shed some of those things and spend your time working more directly just on the creative stuff. So then more of your energy can go there. But yeah, it's definitely a grind and a hustle. So very similar to music. Very similar to something like boxing.
Yeah.
You're in these smaller arenas. So for us, we wrestle in like VFW halls, like the old school like veteran halls. So or like high school gyms.
Mm.
I wrestled on a baseball field before, like a little league baseball field.
Really?
It's like anywhere. I've wrestled in strip clubs, to the point where I think I was 18, and the guy running the show, he got me from the locker room, put his hands over my eyes, and walked me to the ring because he's like, I'm not getting in trouble for having a non-21-year-old person in here. It's like wrestle and get out. And I'm like, okay. It's like 2 a.m.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah, right. So like you just wrestle wherever you can, trying to create a name for yourself, trying to create a buzz, trying to learn. So it's a grind.